Welcome back to the ET Money Show. So there are a plethora of funds that are available in the market to invest your hard-earned money in, but how do you assess which is the right one for your portfolio? What are the criteria that one you should be looking at out for? And to help you navigate through this maze onto the ET Money Show, we have brought Hemant Rustagi, who is from Wiseinvest Pvt.Ltd. And also remember that you can also send your portfolio queries on a WhatsApp number. We'll be flashing through all throughout the show, and also the email ID where you can connect with us. But for now, let me welcome Hemant. Thank you so much for joining us, Hemant, and a very good evening to you. Let's get started with our query section, and a lot of viewers are connecting with us live. So we have Kunal with us live. Very good evening, Kunal. Tell us, what is your query?
Hey, hi. Thanks, Rishi. So the query is specifically with regards to senior citizens. So let's say the basics are kind of taken care of. And so how to go about it when the maturity exactly is not fixed? So in that case, looking probably how to decide between a target maturity fund for a longer duration, let's say a gilt type, or the long duration mutual fund itself.
Okay, so Hemant, this query is for retired seniors. Are you looking for your parents to invest their money out there? Or is this your planning that you wish to do?
For the parents.
Okay. So Hemant, this question from Kunal is for the retired seniors. They are interested in the state government bonds, and what will be your advice coming in for him?
Srishti, I think let's first look at state government bonds. These are basically what we call them state development loan, SDLs. Yes, it is possible for any individual retail investor to invest in these bonds, either in the primary market or through the secondary market. In the primary market, the auctions are being handled by the RBI. Now, the point is, sometimes the question also comes whether these state bonds are as safe as, central government bonds. I would say yes. We can say certainly that these bonds are as safe as central government bonds. What typically happens is that at the time of repayment, it's handled by the Reserve Bank of India. The Reserve Bank of India debits the state government account and pays the money to the holders. So you can say that there is an implicit, sovereign guarantee there. So in terms of safety, they're up there. And I think a couple of things we need to remember, specifically for SDLs, that the SDF issued by the larger states, the developed states, there is more demand and there's more liquidity, and that's why the yields are slightly lower as compared to the states which are smaller and developing states. So that's something that we need to remember. And currently, the options which are available, where the yield can be around 7 to 7.2 or 7.3. He did mention about target maturity fund. So I believe that senior citizens who are looking to invest in debt, and they do not want any volatility because of interest rate. Although we know that we are almost at the fag end of the interest rate hike cycle. We may not see the rate cut happening immediately, but maybe one more rate hike, and thereafter you will see the rate not going up from there. And then maybe over a period of time, the rate will start going down. Obviously, there are two options, like you rightly mentioned. Again, one could be that you're looking at a medium or longer duration funds. Is the target maturity. If you're looking at kind of locking your money at the current yield, then the target maturity funds are passively managed open-ended, which means that they will provide liquidity, but obviously if you remain invested in the maturity of the security. So you can invest in these and track either the gilt index or the SDL or a mix of both. So you will actually find target maturity fund which have a combination of these two. Anyone who's looking at investing in the government security or the SDLs can actually take this route. And currently, I think probably I can say that the rate would be again ranging from 7% to 7.3. Now, what typically happens is that if you hold it till maturity, then there is no volatility on the return, so you know exactly what kind of return are you going to get. Whereas if you go for longer duration, again that can be an option, but again I think can be a little more volatile and a little more risky as compared to this. So my recommendation, especially for the senior citizen, if they are looking at investing in debt funds and looking at locking their money at certain yield, then I think the target maturity funds are a good option. Otherwise, for the shorter duration, there are obviously options like the short-term funds and the ultra short-term fund. But someone who's looking at least 3 to 4 years or even longer, I think these certainly are a good option.
Okay, so that was a very detailed answer by you, Hemant. Thank you so much. But Kunal, I hope this answers your query.
Thank you. Thanks, Srishti. That helps. Thanks.
Okay, that was the query for Kunal. But let's move on. We have Rahul Yadav online with us. Very good evening, Rahul. Please shoot your query. We have Hemant with us today.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Please go on.
Ma'am, I have 4 mutual funds. Parakparik Flexi Share, Mirai Asset Miraging Blue Chip,
Okay.
PGM Mid Cap Fund and Axis Small Cap Fund, each with 2,000 rupees per month SIP. So I want to know that is this portfolio good or should I change something?
Okay. So for now, we don't feel that you have any particular target, but in all, you are investing around 8,000 of rupees. In Hemant, the names that he highlighted are mostly the blue chips, flexi cap, mid cap and small cap. So I can see a mix of everything. So is that a good strategy to go ahead with? And he's investing in all 8,000 of rupees monthly. So what is your advice on this?
Well, I think to begin with, I would say that his strategy of investing in equity fund through SIP is a great strategy because it does, for someone who's not really, familiar with how the stock market works or someone who wants to build a corpus with a smaller contribution, it's actually a great strategy to invest through SIP because you benefit, or you bring in a discipline into investment process and you benefit from averaging. So I think in terms of strategy, Rahul is doing great. It's equally important, again, that when you're building a portfolio of equity fund to ensure that the exposure that you have to different segments of the market, which is large cap, mid cap, and small cap, has to be right. And I always believe that for someone who's investing, for the first time or is a small investor, is not looking at investing big, should be having a bias on the large cap in the portfolio. So I think currently, if you see, the most important part first is choosing the right category. So he's chosen basically a flexi cap fund. There is a large and mid cap fund. There's a mid cap fund and a small cap fund, and investing 2,000 rupees each. So I think I would say broadly his allocation is fine. The 4 funds are okay. 2-3 things I want to tell him. One is that it's always good to actually set up a target. What happens is that when you have a target, based on an assumed rate of return, you work backward and see how much money you need to invest. Sometimes what happens is you're investing money and you feel that you're doing all right, but you actually may not be able to build the kind of corpus that you want to build over a longer period. So have a target, figure out how much you need to invest. And second thing is, keep increasing your investment every year in line with your investment. So step up SIP, I think, is a great thing. Overall, I would say the categories are good. The fund selection is good. He can certainly continue with that, but like I said, he can do better if he focuses on 2-3 points and make sure that he remains focused on achieving his goal and continue this process uninterrupted, irrespective of whatever happens in the market over his defined time horizon.
Okay, the advice coming in for Rahul. But let's move on, and we have the third caller live with us, and we are being joined by Dr. Aditya. Very good evening, doctor. That's very interesting to note that despite a doctorate, you are taking investing so seriously, and rather than just investing, you are getting it reviewed by the expert as well. So please go on. We have Hemant with us. You can ask your query from him.
Yeah, good evening, Hemant. Sir, I'm 31 years of age, and my investment horizon is more than 10 years. I consider myself to be an aggressive investor. My equity to debt ratio is 70:30. So I've also started investing in NPS about 50,000 per year. So my question to you is, does it make sense to switch to the aggressive choice from the moderate choice? And also, investing in ETF, ICICI Dynamic Bond Fund for my debt portfolio. And I'm building my debt corpus. So does it make sense to invest in a conservative hybrid fund instead of a second debt fund?
Okay, so Hemant, I see a lot of checkpoints out there because he's clear about his portfolio allocation. He's already invested in a equity and the debt side of it. So he's doing great in that sense is what I feel. But over to you now with the fund selection that he has already done. What will be your advice coming in?
Well, I think both the questions are, Shristi, I would say, very relevant, and I think a lot of investors will relate with that. To begin with, let me just address the issue that he raised about NPS. So what I could make out that he's actually opted for the auto choice. So there is a moderate choice, there is aggressive. So he's right now into moderate, and his issue is whether he should, considering that his risk profile is aggressive, whether he should move to aggressive. Well, certainly because you are young, and you did mention that your time horizon is 10 years. In fact, if you really work on your portfolio and time horizon, maybe you'll feel that you will have even longer time at your disposal to allow your portfolio to build. So first thing is that you should actually opt for aggressive. In fact, I would say that you can do even better in terms of allocation to equity instead of if you're going from auto to move to active choice. Because in active, what happens is that you begin with up to 35, you can have 75% in equity, and then it tapers down by 2.5%. So by the time you come to 55, you're at 50%. So you can keep your equity at 50%. Whereas in the auto, the point is that it tapers down by 4%. By the time you come to 60, you're down to 15%. So I think, and you're allowed to actually change the option. So my recommendation would be to change from auto to active, and then you can increase your exposure to equity. Second thing he mentioned about whether he should go for a debt or he should go for a conservative hybrid fund. Well, in the debt portfolio, especially when you're investing for a slightly longer period, because of the inverse relationship between bond prices and interest rate, the debt portfolio has to be managed very actively. For example, today, when, as I mentioned earlier also, that you're at the peak of interest rate hike cycle, then you need to look at some point in time longer duration. So you have to manage your portfolio very actively. I personally feel that someone who does not have the wherewithal to actually do that frequently or with the right strategy, conservative hybrid funds are a great option. The reason for that is that your equity exposure is restricted to 10 to 25%. And then what happens is that over a longer period, what I see now, for example, currently if I see a five-year return, maybe it would be around 9%. So I think it really makes sense to kind of move away from managing the debt portfolio yourself, go into a conservative hybrid fund, where the fund manager will take care of the debt portfolio depending on where they think will work well for you. And of course, there is some exposure to equity, which will definitely help you to get slightly higher return. So yes, I think if you're not looking at making an elaborate debt portfolio, a conservative hybrid fund definitely is a good option.
Okay, Dr. Aditya, with this detailed answer, I hope that helps you answer your query.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. But let's move on to the last caller that we have live with us, and R.K. Bhardwaj has joined us. Very good evening. Please shoot your query.
Good evening. My name is R.K. Bhardwaj. I have been investing into mutual funds for almost 5-6 years now. I've been investing both through the SIP route and lump sum route.
Okay.
The way that I invest lump sum is that whenever the market goes down substantially, in addition to SIP, in some of those funds, I have been also investing additional lump sum money. The only thing I have not been able to get hold of is in how to invest in balanced hybrid funds in case I choose to invest additional money. So is this when the bond yields are expected to remain high, is this the right time to invest additional lump sum money into balanced hybrid funds?
Okay, so Hemant would like to know your take that what is your expectation on bond yields, because he has a question related to that. So maybe if you answer this, he will have a better understanding. And also, is this an appropriate time to invest additionally through a lump sum mode in the Balanced Advantage Fund? What will be your advice coming in?
Well, firstly, I would say that he did mention about investing through SIP, and whenever the markets are down, he's investing lump sum. I think it's a great strategy. Of course, it's very difficult to time it because you don't know where the bottom will be and where the market will take a U-turn. But I think it's always advisable that whenever you have investable surplus for the longer period, you can always make lump sum investment, because my belief is that over a longer period, a combination of systematic and the lump sum works out the best as compared to investing only through SIP or only as a lump sum. So I think in terms of that strategy is absolutely great. I think he should continue doing that. He did mention about that he wants to invest in balance advantage fund because he thinks that the interest rates are at the peak. But let me address that quickly. That look, in the balance advantage fund, only the 30% or around that much is invested in the debt. The remaining is invested in equity and the arbitrage in a manner that you're eligible for tax benefit for an equity fund. So in the 30% option again, usually you did mention about, let's say, ICICI Pru Balance Advantage Fund. The maturity right now would be somewhere around 18 months or thereabout. It's always managed as a short-term fund. I don't think short-term is a category where you need to really worry about so much about the interest rate peaking. That's, as I mentioned earlier in the show, that if you're looking to invest in a debt fund, which is a medium to longer duration, that's a time you need to really look at how the inverse relationship will benefit this investment. As far as the balance advantage funds are concerned, I don't think that really makes too much of a difference, because one, exposure to equity is always in line with the market. If the market goes up, the exposure goes down. If the market is down, the exposure goes up. But the debt portion, invariably by most funds, is handled as a short-term fund. I don't think the interest rate really makes much of a difference to that part of the pool.
The advice coming in for R.K. Bhardwaj. Thank you so much for joining us live for the show. But with this, we let you go on that, Hemant, because we are completely out of time in this edition of ET Money Show. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now and helping all our viewers with their portfolio-related queries and help solving them. But with this, it's wrapped this edition of the ET Money Show. It's a goodbye from me and the entire team who put this show together. Thank you so much for watching.